what's happening? Ray Carnes, the co-founder of RecTech Grills. Today we're going to talk about the awesome RecTech. If you already own one, you already know this. It's the best pellet grill on the market. It's by far and away the most bang for your buck. It is built like a tank. It's built to last a lifetime, and it comes with a 6-year factory warranty. It's the most convenient grill to use. It gives you the most flavor, and it's so easy. You press a button, the computer does the rest. However, if you own one long enough, there's a chance that you can have a malfunction. So today we're going to talk a little bit about troubleshooting. The RecTech consists of 5 parts. You've got a fan, you've got an RTD, you've got a computer, you've got a hot rod, and you've got an auger motor, okay? Other than that, it's just the heavy gauge stainless steel and steel. So if you ever have a problem, we want to help you figure out what's letting you down so we can have you back up and running in a snap. So let's get started.
All right, thanks, big man. If you're watching this video, it's because you've developed a problem where pellets aren't feeding into your fire pot. We're going to take you through some of the causes and effects that could create that issue. But one of the things to remember with the auger is that it's in the inside of the grill. It's the one thing that takes a little bit more inspection as opposed to the blower fan or the igniter or the controller. All those 3 things can be taken care of with a very quick visual inspection within a couple of seconds. The auger takes a little bit longer, but we're going to take you through everything that you need to do from start to finish to eventually get you back up and grilling as quick as possible.
Exactly. And one of the main things to remember is this thing turns really slow and sometimes it turns intermittently. So when you first turn your grill on, that auger motor runs for about 30 to 40 seconds straight, but then there's a big 2 to 3 minute pause in there. So if you look in your fire pot to confirm that your auger's turning, best practice is to turn the grill off, turn it on, and look at it. And you got to look hard because it only turns at about 1.5 RPM. So it's a very slow turning mechanism. So that's really your first thing you want to do is look in the fire pot, confirm whether or not the auger is turning. If it's turning and you're not getting pellets, then the problem's right here in your hopper. What you need to do is turn your grill off, unplug it, take the pellets out, figure out what kind of obstruction there is in there, keeping pellets from dropping into your auger. That's the #1 thing that it can be, and it can be a piece of bark in a bag of pellets. I mean, things happen. You don't see it when it goes in, and that can create an issue. Easy to fix. Take the pellets out, visual inspection, put them back in, should start feeding pellets, and you're back and running. Beyond that, really where you need to go is to the access panel at the base of your hopper. If you pull that off, it actually exposes the auger motor, and you can look at that. And there are really only 3 things that can happen. Either your auger motor is dead and it will not run. 2, you've sheared the shear pin so it's not turning the auger, but the motor itself is turning. Or 3, you've got a jammed auger where it just can't turn that auger. And we're going to take you through how to clear all 3 of those things, determine exactly which one it is, and get you back up and running.
And one of the things we're going to do in a minute is we're going to take you through step by step how to get into the auger, how to clear a jam if that's necessary, and we'll go through all that in a second, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so now that we're at the back of the grill, the first thing I recommend doing is just taking a towel and laying it down underneath all this, especially if you're on a deck. You're gonna be dealing with some smaller screws. Just a good thing, if you drop one, it'll make it easier to find them if you drop it. So the first thing you're gonna do is remove the bottom 2 screws on both sides of this access panel. Okay, so now that we've got those removed, this panel will drop off here, and the auger motor just sits on this shelf. That's all it does. The only thing that's holding it in place other than that is a bolt that goes through the output shaft of the auger motor and the actual auger itself. There's a shear bolt in here. We'll get a close-up picture of that, and then we'll go through on how to replace it.
All right, now that you've removed the access panel, you can see the auger motor. And what you want to do is you want to just give a good visual inspection and see what's going on in here. First thing you want to look for is the shear bolt, which is located right here on the end of this screwdriver. That's the output shaft of the auger motor, and it's the input shaft of the auger itself. That bolt goes straight through both shafts, and that's what keeps your auger motor in place and transfers the turning of the motor to the auger itself. If that bolt is missing, your auger will turn, but it won't turn your auger shaft and it won't push any pellets into your grill. So the next thing you want to do, if that's in place, is you want to see what's happening when you turn on your auger motor. So if we turn this on, what you'll see is this little fan on the back of your auger motor that's going to turn. If that turns, then your auger motor's running. What you want to do then is look at your output shaft, which is also going to turn at that low 1.5 RPMs. And so it's going to turn very slow, but you can look at that bolt, watch that thing turn, and as that turns, you're going to confirm that you have output out of your motor. If all that's going on, then you probably have a blockage in your pellet hopper. Go back to there, see why your pellets aren't dropping into the auger itself. If this fan turns and the output shaft does not turn, then the problem is here in the gear reduction housing. There may be a broken gear in there and we'll need to replace your auger motor. Next thing that could happen would be if the auger motor does not come on at all. Now, if it doesn't come on at all, then you're going to have to replace the auger motor. It's just a dead motor, won't work. However, if you see it turn, that fan just whines just a little bit and it tries to turn and won't turn, then you're in a position where you can actually make yourself grill and everything can be okay. It's going to take a little effort, but what has happened is you have a jam in your auger. And your auger can be jammed for a couple of different reasons. Foreign object gets in there, lodges between the auger and the auger tube. Your pellets got wet, some form or fashion. You know, this grill's not waterproof, so if you get enough water on it, you will get water in your pellets. If your pellets get wet, they'll turn to sawdust. If they sit for a while and dry out, that sawdust is going to get very hard, almost like concrete, and the auger motor just, even with as much torque as it has, will not push through that. So you're going to have to pull the auger out and visually inspecting the tube, see what's going on in there. First thing you want to do is, of course, take the pellets out of your hopper. If you get down to the bottom of the hopper and you see some sawdust that looks really hard, then your pellets got wet somehow, and you're going to have to clear this and get through this. So we're going to take you through that step by step, how to remove the auger from the auger tube.
All right, so if we're to this point of the video, we've eliminated all the other variables that could be causing an issue with pellets not coming into your fire pot, and the last remaining thing we need to do is pull out a pellet jam. And the way we extract the auger out of the grill is a little more simple than it may sound. The first thing we need to do is remove the set screws at the 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position here on this backside for a bushing, and we'll show you all that in a minute. What you're going to need to extract these is a metric 2.5 Allen wrench. Now that we have these set screws removed on both sides, one way to extract the auger is you basically just take a hammer, and you're going to use this part of the grill as the fulcrum. You're going to use the claw parts of the hammer to make contact inside the auger motor, and you're going to pry just a little bit from the left, a little bit from the right, and for lack of a better technical term, you're going to kind of seesaw the auger out the back of the grill. This auger has a bushing that goes into the grill. As you can see, this bushing is about 1 inch thick, so that'll kind of give you a gauge as you start to pull it out the back. Once you do that, everything's free. Now you may need to unclip some wires and eventually unplug your auger motor to pull it all the way out the back, but as you see, as you start to pull it back, pellets are going to start to come out the back of the grill, and you know that you're pretty much home free from this point. So now that we have this out, the next thing we need to do is we're going to remove the shear bolt, which you'll just need a small Phillips head and a pair of needle nose pliers. And you basically put your needle nose on the nut, you take your Phillips head, just back the bolt out, and that'll free these two things up. All right, so now that we have these two things apart, a good thing to do is go ahead and slide your bushing off and just use your auger to clean out your auger tube. Just push it through, kind of pull it out a few times, make sure that any obstructions in there, most of it came out when you pulled it out, but make sure there's nothing else in there that could cause any problems. And then we're ready to start putting it back together. And the way we're going to do that is you want to take your bushing, slide it back onto your auger, push it in, and a little trick that I have learned along the way is to just take a socket, put the socket over the auger itself and just on the bushing. That way we're only hitting the bushing back into place and the auger will remain sticking out the back of the grill. So we'll do that, just kind of tap it back in place in here. All right, so now that we have this hammered back in place, you just want to get this bushing to where it's flush with the edge of the grill. You want to put the set screws, which were at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position of that bushing back in place, and that holds your bushing in there. And then all we need to do is take that shear bolt, put it back into your back in the auger motor with the auger shaft, and we're home free from there.
So the RecTec's designed to give you years and years of enjoyment. I hope this helped in the rare event that you maybe encounter a problem. I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit rectechgrills.com and let your friends know about this awesome grill. Thanks for watching, guys.